I am going to call the regular meeting of the City of San Angelo Development Corporation to order today, Wednesday, November 16th. If y'all would bow your heads with me, I will open us in prayer. Dear God, I think if we're all going to be just straightforward and upright and honest, you know, we're all a little worn out from the last 18 months to 2 years of political haranguing. So help us to set aside all those things that have divided us. Help us to realize that you are the one that is still on the throne. Doesn't reside with any one of us or any one of the people that we elect. Give us the wisdom and the discernment and the courage to speak when we need to, but to hold our tongues when we should. Be with this board today as we discuss matters that are important and relevant to the community in which we live, and give us that wisdom and discernment to do the right thing. I pray these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Public comment at this time. Issues or items that are not on the agenda may be raised by the public at this time. Citizens should speak from the podium, begin by stating their name, and limit their remarks to less than 5 minutes. Board members may request that a discussed item be placed on a future agenda. The board does take public comment on all regular agenda items during the discussion of that particular item as it comes up on the agenda. Do we have any public comment?
We do. Thank you. And my name is Dave Erickson, Director of the Small Business Development Center. And here I just want to introduce one of our graduate students at the SBDC. Last week you met Kayla Johnson, and this is Margaret Brothers, one of our graduate assistants. Her main focus is on training. She does many things for us there, does work with clients also, but has a main focus on training and helping Desiree with that. So she's been with us since June, and ever since then it's been my goal to bring her here. And thankful for the opportunity here to bring her here so she can see this in action. So,
good. Well, we'll do our best not to bore you, Margaret. Some of this can be pretty routine, but some of it's interesting too. So, welcome. We're glad to meet you and have you working with Dave. Nice to have you.
Welcome.
Thanks, Dave. Any other public comments? If not, we'll move on to our consent agenda. Do I have an approval for the consent?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion and a second by Mr. Tankersley, second by Mr. Flores. Any comment, discussion, question? All in favor of approving the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to our regular agenda, item number 5A, the update quarterly report on the Affordable Housing Program. Presentation by Bob Salas. Morning, Bob.
Good morning, Board. So I think I have some slides. You do, Bob. There you go. That's good right there. I'd like to provide the board a very quick recap of the Affordable Housing Assistance Program, which we call AHAP, for the past program year. And that goes from October the 1st, 2015 through September 30th, 2016. We expended over $275,000 on 6 new homes, averaging about $45,000 per unit constructed. Excuse me. That broke out to about $88,000 in the first quarter for 2 homes, $95,000 in the second quarter for 2 homes, and then we didn't do any in the third quarter, but we did do 2 more in the fourth quarter for $91,000. To date, we have expended $2.46 million on 59 new homes, and that averaged out about $41,000 per unit. And I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Questions for Bob? Just for the public that may be watching or listening, our Affordable Housing Assistance Program is one of the items that was a ballot initiative when this was approved, and we allocate $300,000 a year, or no, it's a little more than that.
It's $335,000
$335 annually.
It was a ballot issue.
Mm-hmm. So that will continue
definitely until sunset.
Okay,
until
very
sunset.
good. All right.
Hopefully longer.
Yeah. Well, it's, I'm going to say it's pretty obvious, 2.9, 2.4 million since inception, did you say?
Pretty much, yes. 2.46
Two,
million.
246, $2.5 million for 59 units?
59 units, that's correct.
So that's housing that might not have otherwise have been provided to folks, so.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And it is in the neighborhoods we've targeted for revitalization. So it does help push the affordable housing stock in those areas. Critical for us to revitalize those neighborhoods. Absolutely critical. So it's a great tool to provide what we do for a living, and that is bring these neighborhoods up to good standards.
Good.
Bob, have we got any statistics on how many completely privately funded construction projects have happened in those neighborhoods that we seeded?
You know, we do. I think we presented about a couple years back. We have a presentation that we provide folks to let you know that by doing these kind of programs, you leverage the community, and they do in fact respond. And we do have some of those numbers. I can bring that next time.
I've noticed in a few of the neighborhoods, when we have projects, I like to drive around and see, what's going on. I can see a lot of private investment in rejuvenating homes that were becoming dilapidated.
A good example is Blackshear.
And it just takes somebody to take an interest, and this program does it. I applaud you.
Absolutely. A brand new house and a couple of brand new homes in a neighborhood and a couple of streets makes a big difference. It provides a little hope for other folks that this neighborhood they're living in is actually moving forward, not going backwards. Yes. So.
Good work, Bob.
Thank you.
Thanks for your report. We'll move on to item B. Consider approval to allocate $61,000 of residual funds from the sale of a foreclosed Affordable Housing Assistance Program AHAP home at 2013 Hudson Street to fund the annual neighborhood blitzes, $20,000, and a rapid rehousing program for homeless families of $41,000. Bob?
If the board recalls, we actually foreclosed on one of those houses back in Hudson Street. It was about a year and a half ago. We rehabilitated the house, and then we sold it to an eligible home buyer at the appraised value, which is $110,000. And that left us about $61,000 of residual funds from the sale. And what we like to do is kind of allocate those funds to a couple of things. One is $20,000 for the neighborhood blitz. We usually come to you for $10,000 a year. This will take care of 2 blitzes, and we're kind of finishing up the blitz program. So this will probably be the last 2 we actually come forward to and ask for funds. And it does cover the cost of supplies and food and things that the federal grant that we use, the CDBG grant, doesn't cover. It's important to have this extra money so we can, it gives us flexibility is what it does. And the remaining $41,000 to a pilot program, a rapid rehousing pilot program for homeless families. We're partnering with the Public Housing Authority to provide rental assistance for families who have become homeless. This will provide some funds to cover the cost for a month or so until they can get onto the PHA program. And we're asking the board to approve that so we can move forward with that pilot program.
Questions for Bob? I would entertain a motion on that.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Tankersley.
Second.
Second by Mr. Barriou. Questions, comments, public questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you, board. Appreciate it.
Bob, thank you. Appreciate your work. Moving on to item C. This is a public hearing, and we will be seeking a motion to approve the extension of the professional services agreement between Acosta DC and the Chamber of Commerce, authorizing the expenditure of up to $225,000 in accordance with the original agreement executed October the 1st of 2015. Roland?
Morning, board members.
Good morning.
This is as the president has stated, it is a 2-step process. Bear with me. It is a procedural in matter, a requirement before we undertake a project in accordance with 505-159 of the Local Government Code. We did publish notice, which is the other legal requirement, back in September of 2015. Yep. Having a little. I just have to turn around and face it to Brian. All right. The board, you may recall, the board on August 26, 2015, unanimously approved a resolution authorizing a 3-year professional services agreement with the Chamber of Commerce for marketing and recruitment services. Excuse me. This is subject to renewal annually by the board. If you notice in your board packet, there are 9 specific tasks that are part of the scope of services. In addition to the tasks, you have budget allocations that are aligned with those tasks. You may recall that the prior professional services agreement did not include the NAICS codes. This provides a little bit more focus on the targeted industries, so that is a change from the prior contract. This is something new that the board did last year. The contract is reimbursed for services rendered. The contract amount is for $225,000. In your packet, you have a copy of the resolution that was approved by the board and the contract. At this point, I would ask that you allow for public comment for the public hearing, and then we'll have the action on the approval of the extension for 1 year, year number 2.
This is a public hearing. We will take comments from the public on this item on the agenda, the approval and extension of the professional services agreement between the Development Corporation and the Chamber of Commerce. Is there any public comment? Seeing none or hearing none, we will close the public hearing.
All right, this is the action required by the board to approve the extension for year number 2 in the amount of $225,000, and staff recommends approval unless you have any other questions.
I'll make the motion that we approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Berriew, second by Mr. Crosco, that we approve this. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll call that we vote on the motion. All in favor to extend, approved by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Hearing none, the motion carries. Move on to item D. This is also a public hearing and consideration of a resolution in support of City Council approval of a project to create or retain primary jobs authorized under Section 501.101 of the Development Corporation Act, providing for the expenditure of up to $350,000 for economic development incentives to Principal LED LLC, authorizing the board president to negotiate and execute a performance agreement in substantially the same form as the attached. Roland?
This is the same format where we have a public hearing, which is a requirement before we undertake a project in accordance with Section 505 of 159 of the Local Government Code. A resolution by the board is also required to designate Principal LED as an expansion economic development project, and it also authorizes the president to execute a performance agreement in substantially the same form. The performance agreement was not part of your board packet. I've placed that on the dais, and I do have an extra copy if anyone else needs one. It does require recommending ratification by the City Council. Principal LED is located at 4541 North Bentwood Drive, and it is a local company that is expanding. It produces LED lighting fixture assemblies. It currently employs 51 people at an average salary of $52,000 per year. Their current real property is appraised at $1.6 million, and they intend to construct a new facility at an additional approximately $800,000 in capital investment. I want to apologize for these slides. Bob created these slides before he left. For those of you who are not aware, Bob and Michael are off on a recruitment trip out of state. I have a revision here. This is a minimum of 15 to 50 jobs is what they intend to create. These will be full-time jobs. The minimum amount of economic development incentives will not exceed $350,000. So the agreement states up to $350,000, not to exceed that amount. These numbers were also created before Bob left, but the exact numbers is what is in your packet. The total amount is $316,450 is the expected amount of assistance to be provided. That is what you have on your in your board packet. So just a slight difference. Remember, it is not to exceed $350,000. We're still working with the company, still finalizing those numbers. It will not exceed $350,000. At this point, I would ask that you open the public hearing and take public comment, and then you can take action on the resolution.
This also is a public hearing on this item on our agenda, approving this expenditure of up to $350,000 for Principal LED LLC. Do we have any public comment at this time? Seeing no one to comment, hearing no one comment, we will close the public hearing.
The action required is to approve the resolution, which is in support of the $350,000 in economic development incentives, authorizing the president to negotiate and execute the performance agreement, and staff recommends approval unless you have any other questions.
Questions for Roland?
I'll make the motion for approval
Have a motion to
with
approve.
our blessings for their success.
Mr. Berriew?
Second.
Second by Mr. Tankersley. Any other comments, questions? All in favor of approving the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. We have none. The motion carries. Moving on to item E. This is staff update regarding the following items: AEP promotional video, RFQ for EDA grant administrative services for Phase 2 infrastructure improvements at the industrial park, RFQ for EDA grant engineering services for Phase 2 improvements at the industrial park. 2 times. And the RFP for website design and search engine optimization services, and the BREP client appreciation event. Roland.
So this is just a quick update for you. Fred Hernandez was expected to be here, and he was going to try to make it. I wanted to give him some recognition. AEP has been a very strong ally and an economic development partner for us. They are a friend, and they care about our community, and they're always wanting to play a part in economic development. As you may recall, they brought to us the site certification for the industrial park, the opportunity to participate in that. Back in 2014, we were one of the first in a conference call amongst 20-some other communities who were listening to that conference call, and I think perhaps only 2 out of those 20 took advantage of moving forward with that certification. They continue to be just a real strong partner. Most recently, I was talking to Ray Covey, who is the Economic Development Director for AEP, and I suggested that perhaps we could do some kind of certification for the airport, and he took that idea, came back and said, hey, we think we're interested in it. We have a consultant that'd be willing to work with you. So I am working with Lou to look into that, and that I think is exciting because we do need some industrial development, airspace, aircraft facilities, manufacturing type there at the airport. So I think that's exciting. Anyway, I wanted to kind of highlight their partnership, and had it not been for them, this video would not have been possible. So I'm going to ask Brian Groves, by the way, before he hits that, Michael Looney and Robert Schneeman have the video with them as they're marketing to companies. this is the trend. We use smart short videos to create to pique an interest of a company that's interested in the community. So with that, I'll let Brian run the video.
That is,
Wow.
It is
That
no
is
wonder
wonderful.
that our Public Information Office is an award-winning operation.
absolutely. Yeah,
Well-
Mr. Hernandez just walked in. Let's replay that, just for his benefit. Fred, you're gonna be impressed with this. I'm gonna have to say that. We just saw the video. That is strong. That is strong. Well, Mr. Flores commented in humor, but he said, makes me want to move here. I would say if you're having a bad day, that'll make you feel better just to watch that. There's a couple of things in there I think worthy of note. There were many of our partners in there: Howard College, the Chamber. We saw Dave introduce Margaret to us a little earlier. They are a valued partner. We've got a lot of good things going for us in this community. There's one thing in that video it jumped out at me immediately in the early part of the video. Talks about the speed of business, which we talk about as a board from time to time. We want to be able to move at the speed of business and not at a slower speed. That is a great video. Fred, we owe you a debt of gratitude, AEP, for all that you have done with us and for us and partnered with us on. We do appreciate your interest and partnership in economic development. We thank you very much.
And before we go further, I think I need to make a correction. I stand corrected. I gave credit for that to our Public Information Office. In fact, it was Neon Productions that produced it. While our public information folks are still great,
That's right.
Neon Productions did an awesome job.
That's right. That's right. Well, it sounds like it had the impact we wanted it to have. We worked on it a long time. Brian Groves was helping me this week and last week. It is now on our website, and so we're utilizing that now, and it's on YouTube as well. We're going to continue to shoot that link to those companies that are interested, but we wanted something that conveyed the message that we do move at the speed of business, that we are a strategic location to strategic markets. We wanted some epic to it. Neon Cloud Productions was at the annual TEDC conference, and they were showcasing some of their videos, and they had clips of this, and I was concerned that it would reveal too much, but I think they did a good job, and we're very proud of the video. Thank you so much to Ray Covey, Fred Hernandez with AEP, and I'm glad you like it. So
That is good. Awesome. It is wonderful. And I would say this, Roland, if something ever comes up and we're not able to move at the speed of business as an economic development organization or board, whatever that may be, come to us and let's talk through that. If we need to help in some way on anything that seems like we're not moving at the speed of business, so that we don't get bogged down in things that don't move at the speed of business.
And I appreciate that, Tommy. I think that's a message that the entire team here at the City of San Angelo. It's something that we've talked about. They've heard us say, and I think they're all working toward that end. And so I'm hoping to keep that message internally alive as well, and keep moving that forward. So thank you so much for your support on this, and we're hoping that this is not going to be the last video. We think we need to do more of these. Different aspects.
It embodies quality of life. That's what I saw, quality of life, and then just opportunity. That's what just jumped out at me.
Correct.
It was awesome.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. So with that, I can, if you're okay
I'm not
with
sure you need to say anything.
Motion we
We just
adjourn.
need to stop right there.
Hey, are we done? Motion to adjourn. I mean,
Well, we do. I just wanted to bring you up to date. We do have an RFQ that we're working on with our purchasing department. It does include grant administrative services and grant engineering services. Both those items are going to be needed for the application to the EDA, Economic Development Assistance Administration. Economic Development Administration. We also have an RFP that we're working on with purchasing on the web site design and search engine optimization services. You may recall a couple of months back, I think it was about 4.5 weeks back, the board did approve YROC, but in talking to purchasing, we're trying to follow requirements. I did speak to YROC, so we're going to go through the RFP process, and that's okay. Their understanding of that. And then finally, I want to talk about BREP, which is a client appreciation event, BREP related. It is part of our program of work. It is something that we have been brainstorming about for some time now, and I think the timing is perfect. So in the next month and a half or so, we're going to host an event for companies, their CEOs or general managers who we've done business with. In other words, we have some contracts now. We've secured under BREP several performance agreements, and I think we've done very well in that category. So we're going to do something that is inviting those companies to come back to let them know that we're still here, that we care for them. It's sort of a service after the sale, that we value them, and we want to invite the board. So it'll be small and sort of intimate, but we're planning that. Just want to give you a heads up that that's another activity that we're working on.
I think that's a great idea.
That's all I have for you.
Okay, we are moving on to then our closed session, executive session under the provision of Government Code Title V, Open Government, Ethics, Subtitle A, Open Government, Chapter 551, Open Meetings, Subchapter D, Exceptions to Requirement that meetings be open under the following section, Section 551.087, to discuss and offer of financial or other incentives to companies with whom the City of San Angelo Development Corporation is conducting economic development negotiations, which the City of San Angelo Development Corporation seeks to have locate, stay, or expand in San Angelo, and Section 551.072 to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property on First Street. And with that, it is 9:03 a.m. and we are in executive session. Session at 9:37 a.m. We have nothing to report from executive session. Let me mention one thing before I say anything. Well, item number 7, then I'll say what I'm going to say. Consider any possible action regarding matters, and okay, we have no action there. Let me congratulate, we had several folks from the city who were recognized at the 20 under 40 last week, and one of them was our very own Todd Coles, recognized for business ownership. Todd has expanded his own business this past year through the acquisition of another operation here in town. He has now renovated a really nice space in the Cactus Hotel for his place of business. Todd, congratulations to you. We're glad you're here. We're glad you're on the board. We're glad you're growing your business and glad it is growing. So we congratulate you on that honor. Yes, you're welcome. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Have a motion by Mr. Flores, second by Mr. Tankersley. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There are none. We are adjourned.